So what about a pair of open back headphones priced at $359 by Sivga Audio, one of the companies that has the best price performance ratio out there. This is a brown beauty that I actually like to use and which we'll be reviewing today at Audiophile Heaven. This is a pair of high quality dynamic headphones. They are open back in design. This back here is a grill, so they will not offer you any kind of passive noise isolation. They also have a large 50mm dynamic driver, which is nickel plated, very unusual for a new headphone to have a new type of coating. It has a low impedance of 38 ohms and a somewhat low SPL of 100 decibels, which means that it will be somewhat hard to drive. Now, it still comes with this transport case that I really like. It has like this little shape here. They also come with this nice cable, which is very thin in design, but proved to be quite good at resisting my use and abuse scenarios. Now, this is a headphone that I actually enjoy quite a lot. It has brown and silver accents, which is beautiful. They also have this black spot here at the ear cups, which I don't know if I like so much because brown and silver made a great combo. But from what I could notice, most companies, when they have brown and silver, they will add a bit of black to balance out the design. This is how they feel around my neck, and I have to give it to them. They have one of the softest ear pads that I've ever felt in my entire life. The ear pads are extremely large, extremely thick, and extremely soft. Just look at this. I can even, so soft and so smooth the whole wearing them sensation is. When you put them on your head, they do have left and right markings inside of the ear cups, which I think is pretty nice. And when you put them on your head, they look quite cool. I think that they have a pretty awesome design. Pretty normal, traditional, but still pretty cool and playful. I like the color, as I said, really nice color. They do have this very soft headband too. So every single bit of them is soft, is really soft and comfortable. The headband has textile padding, which is really soft too, and they offer excellent support. They are very lightweight, 354 grams to be more precise, and because they don't have a high clamping force like Sennheiser HD 660 S2, they feel much more comfortable than the S2 from Sennheiser. Because they don't clamp, they aren't heavy, and they feel like a comfort heaven. To be honest, I would actually wear those as my main headphones if I couldn't wear anything else. So let's say that I was doing something and I couldn't do it with speakers. I would be wearing those. I wouldn't mind it. It's so comfortable. The whole design is so nice. The headphone cup swivels laterally, not all the way, but enough for them to offer you excellent comfort. Headband is adjustable in size from very small to very large. So they should fit every single head out there and they should feel comfortable in every single head out there. That is really nice. Sivga always knows how to make high quality products. Like the whole headphone feels really high quality, really sturdy and really well made. I like how they feel around my neck. I like how they feel on my head. They offer me about 5 decibels of passive noise isolation. As I said, they aren't supposed to isolate you from the outside noise and they will leak your music to the outside world a lot. So most people in the room will know what you're listening to and at what volumes. So if you need something close back, there are other options. The cable connects to the headphone with a 3.5mm mono cable. So no 3 poles, 2 poles per each cable. It clicks into place. It has this satisfying click. In some of my photos, the cables look as if they are not properly aligned, and I think that is partially my mistake or because they are so soft and when you see them on a table, they tend to de-align, but I think that in person they look very well aligned. So this is how they look like. I think they are perfectly well aligned. The cables have left and right markings on them, just like the ear cups. There is also on the outer part of the ear cup, on this support yoke, I think it is called. The cable on the Sivga Luan does not conduct microphonic noise. You can safely use them. You will not hear it brushing against your clothes or against your face or against your beard if you have. And I think that generally the build quality part is downright impressive. So what about the sound? Well, they do have the Sivga house sound. Sivga does have some kind of tuning to their own sound. They always sound rather mid-range forward, quite flat, so no uplifted bass and no uplifted treble, no V-shape, no U-shape, just music, just mid-range usually. This doesn't mean that they roll off in the bass or in the treble. The bass extension is quite excellent and so is the treble extension. So they have this outstanding overall extension in both ways. The bass touches 20 Hz easily, but it doesn't have quite that much impact and presence in that area. Usually the bass is focused upwards in around 100 Hz, where it's more of a warmth that enhances the mid-range, and then the treble tends to natural off early, so it can extend up to 20 kilohertz, but it doesn't have a lot of presence either. It is more of a bonus to the mid-range rather than the focal point of the sound. And I think that sonically they are a very gentle and soft sounding pair of headphones. They are very refined, very relaxing, they are never stressful, they are the kind of non-fatiguing, non-harsh type of headphone that you can safely enjoy every single day of your week. So the comfort goes hand in hand with the kind of signature they go for. They are typically the kind of headphone that I would use and I would keep for myself when I'm tired, when I am too busy to be focusing on the sound, or when I want something to give me a musical massage, something that I can relax to and not be stressed because of. I mean, they have a very fashionable look to them. When you see a fashionable look, you typically expect a bass heavy sound because this is what typically is popular. Commercially, most headphones that have been very successful have been very bass heavy. But I don't think that it is because they are bass heavy, but because the ones making them were bass heads. So this doesn't mean that this headphone won't be successful. It just means that you have to expect them to be very musical. This means that they do very well with voices, both male and female. They do very well with classical music. They play jazz very nicely. They play all this relaxing music very nicely, down tempo like DXX, and stuff that generally sounds very pleasing, very smooth, and which is enjoyable to the finer senses. They don't do so well with aggressive music, for example with technical death metal. I think that the very mid-range forward sound and not very bassy or not very bright sound doesn't really highlight technical death metal so much. And also dubstep tends to be focused on the mid-range, which is quite an unusual presentation since dubstep relies a lot on the fundamental part of the sub-bass. And with dubstep you want a very strong sub-bass, you want a very strong presence in the sub-lows, while with rock, with slower music, especially older music, this kind of presentation helps a lot because it means that it will make that kind of music relaxing. They will make everything smooth, pleasing, romantic. Everything will just sound pleasing to you. You'll never be fatigued. You'll never think to yourself, oh no, this is so harsh. You'll think to yourself, this is so nice and so relaxed. When it comes to driving the Sivga Luan, I've used a selection of sources, including the iBass DX320 Max, which has been one of my favorite sources for them. This one can truly put some kick into them. It is a warmer, smoother kind of dub. It has a very pleasing low end and very pleasing bass, but just look at it. It's a bit large to be used with a pair of $359 headphones, since this one costs $3,500. On that note, I think that you could use any kind of source with them. They aren't very picky with the source. You could use basically anything, even portable DAC headphone amplifiers. And although the CPL is not that high, the impedance is not high either. So in general, they are natural to drive. I think that they are harder to drive than most super easy to drive headphones. So 32 ohms headphones that have a very high CPL will feel much easier to drive and will get loud easier. You can expect the soundstage to be very natural in both size, width, depth, everything. It is a very natural kind of presentation. They do have very good instrument separation, but since the sound is not very analytical, they don't emphasize differences between instruments that much. They just focus on playing music as natural as possible, which gives them a very pleasing and very natural kind of sound. This means that they will be less extreme than, for example, Olo S5X. Olo S5X is a great headphone made for mastering, so they emphasize more details and micro details. They will bring textures more forward and they will be more fatiguing in the mid-range. Also, they have a smoother treble and a heavier bass. So everything is heavier, bolder, and has more fundamental on the Olo S5X, while Sivga Luan tends to present music more naturally. The sound is less fatiguing. It is not quite as extruded, so textures aren't extruded. They are very smooth and natural. Everything flows freely and everything just feels more natural and more even all around. While with the Olo S5X, the sound feels very thick, very heavy, very powerful, but it tends to have even lower amounts of treble, which makes it very smooth, and they can lack the high-end detail at times, and they can be somewhat limited in the air, while the Sivga Luan is never limited in the air. This one sounds very airy all the time. Since there's been a sale on the HDX 660S2, this one becomes a competitor, a direct competitor. This one has been priced at $399 compared to the $359 for the Sivga Luan. So Sonora's HD 660S2, this is a personal favorite headphone of mine, but the tuning and the comfort is very different. First off, This one doesn't creak, doesn't have any kind of build issues, but in terms of comfort, they are lighter, but much tighter. So on my head, they give me this very high clamping force. They stay very, very fixed on my head, which might become uncomfortable for some, especially if you have a larger head, they will clamp it. On the other hand, Sivga Luan never clamps your head too tight. The cable on the HD660S2 is proprietary, so no 3.5mm connectors. They have this 2-pin connector that Sennheiser uses. HD660S is also much harder to drive, so you'll have more trouble getting those to work with a source. They will need a beefier source, which means more investment in your whole audio chain. Compared to that, Sivga Luan is much easier to drive, is not picky with the source, and is easier to use. Now, sonically, I think that both of them have a somewhat mid-range centric sound. Both of them have a natural kind of bass with a natural amount. Neither of them isn't very bass heavy. Both of them are very natural in the bass. HD660S2 has a much brighter treble with more energy and more sparkle, but once again this results in more fatiguing, especially if your album was quite bright, harsh, or just not properly mastered or recorded. Out of the two, Sivga Luan is an easier choice for beginners, while 660S2 is a better choice for someone who is already acquainted with the audiophile sound and who knows what they want and who knows how to power them, who has some equipment already. At the end of the day, I think that it should be fair to say that I fully recommend Sivga Luan. It is a great headphone with a good price-performance ratio. They have a very comfortable design. I like the overall aesthetic, and they feel much better built than you would guess. They have metal in the build. For example, even 660S2 has a lot of plastic in the build. This does keep the weight down, but this one feels more premium because of the more metal in the build. I think it is a great little headphone. I think you should be grabbing a pair of those if you want that kind of gentle, relaxing sound. Thank you so much for watching. I hope that you'll find it in your heart to leave a donation or to subscribe to my channel. I would appreciate that greatly. Leave a like on this video if you enjoyed the content, and start typing a comment if you have questions or if you have suggestions of what I should be reviewing next or how to improve my video. Thank you so much, and we'll see each other really soon. Bye bye!